All right, it's time. It's nearly the end of the semester, and we're just now going to talk about money. And if you remember from earlier in the semester, I said that money is toilet paper. People don't want money, they want stuff. They want the stuff that money can get. And a lot of you may hear that and think, oh, well, that means that, maybe we shouldn't use money. Maybe money isn't important. And that's not true at all. Okay? So the easiest way to see that money is important is to imagine a situation without money. And that's existed, and it still does exist sometimes. So what do we do without money? What's the alternative to money? Well, that is barter. Okay? I trade stuff for stuff. I trade my goods and services for your goods and services. And in a lot of ways, that seems ideal. Why do I trade my goods and services for money and then have to trade my money for goods and services? Like, that seems really inefficient until you try the alternative. Okay? So here's why barter is horrible. Okay? There's something called the double coincidence of wants. Imagine I am trying to get something, anything, okay, maybe bread, okay? So if I want to go get bread, what good and service do I produce? Well, I produce economics lectures. So I can try to go to the store and go to the cashier and give him an economics lecture and then maybe get some bread. Do you think it's going to work out well for me? That I am going to want the precise thing that I have the precise thing that they want, and then in return they have the exact thing that I want? That's, for something very specialized like an economics lecture, that's almost impossible. So what are my alternatives? Well, I can find someone who wants an economics lecture, and then I can take whatever they have, and then I can take that and trade it for someone else, and then trade that to someone else, and then trade until I find the thing that I want. That's really, really annoying and has very high, what we call, transaction costs. We don't think about transaction costs very much because in our modern economy, transaction costs are very, very, very low. Whenever I want a thing, I click the PayPal button and money magically disappears from my account, and boom, the transaction has occurred. Now, a lot of times, credit card companies or banks will charge a slight transaction fee, but really, it's almost no hassle at all, and boom, the transaction happens. Whereas if I'm having to go trade and then trade for something else and then trade for something else to get the thing that I want, then that's going to be really challenging. So all transactions in a society without money have this problem of double coincidence of wants, where I can't make a trade unless the other person has it. So transactions are very difficult and costs are high. Now, here is the big thing that is bad about a society without money. It discourages specialization. So again, I am very specialized. I do economics, I do computer science, I do math, and I'm specialized in instructing people. Okay, I'm a teacher. Problem is, not everyone wants what I have. So specializing like that is miserable in an economy with barter. So chances are, in an economy with barter, I would have to do something else. Almost every society there has ever been, money starts to pop up, whether it's what you would think of as money or something that we'll talk about that is also money. Money will pop up in some form. So, what kinds of money are there? Well, there's commodity money, which is money with intrinsic value, which is a fancy way of saying that even if you can't spend it, it has value. So you may have heard back in the day, cigarettes. People in prison would trade cigarettes for for goods and services, and it acted as a sort of money. Now this is commodity money because if you couldn't trade with it, you could always smoke it. Okay, don't recommend that. But there's also something called Max in prison, where it's like a little container of fish, where if your meals are kind of gross, you can always, have this thing of mackerels, Max. But the idea is, since everybody wants it, or at least enough people want it, you could trade it to different people instead of trading directly for goods and services. One of the oldest forms of commodity money is grain, because me as a teacher, back in ancient times, okay, if someone needed teaching, I could say, okay, will you pay me in grain? Because even if I'm not going to bake bread with that grain, I could always trade it to someone else because almost everyone would need grain. Some societies had shiny shells. You're probably most familiar with precious metals like gold and silver. Also, technically considered commodity money is any paper money that is on a precious metal standard, where you can always trade it for gold or silver or platinum or whatever. Okay. Now, the other type of money is fiat money. Okay. Fiat money is money that only has value because it's backed by some organization. Okay. Usually a government. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. You will find that on your dollar bills. If someone owes you money in the United States, if someone owes you, you have to allow them to pay in dollars. Now, you don't have to allow them to purchase something in dollars, but if someone has a debt, you are legally obligated to take money as payment on that debt. Okay, so that's basically the kind of money that we have. Paper money that's not backed by metal, coin money that's made from cheap metals. Used to, some of our coins were actually worth more than what they were, than the dollar amount of the coin. Now that is the opposite. And we've been off the gold standard for quite a while. For citizens, we've been off of it since 1933. And since 1973, there has been no tie-in whatsoever between gold and money. So the only reason that our currency is worth money is because the government says so. Now, with fiat currency, you have to be very careful about trust in that currency. The Secret Service, the folks who protect the president, that wasn't their initial role. Their initial role was actually to seek out counterfeiters, people who make fake money, because it's a huge deal. It's a huge national security thing where if people are counterfeiting a lot of money, then it erodes trust in our currency, and it could potentially make our currency lose all of its value. So with fiat currency, you have to be very, very careful about maintaining the integrity of your money. Okay, next we're going to talk about what is it that makes something actually considered money. So I'll see you then.